Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View on Back, and I'm joined today with Andrea and Amy. And some of you may not be familiar with Amy. She's joined us a few times. She's one of our new hosts, filling in, and we always need extra bodies, right?
Right. I like
Life
to
is
think of it as
busy.
extra voices.
Voices and bodies, they go together. And today we have a show we're gonna talk about one thing. First of all, later in the show, we're going to talk about COVID mandates. That'll be fun. And then, but right now, I want to welcome to the show Dr. Allison Low, and she is a sports physician in Tyler, Texas, at Christus Health Hospital. She is going to talk to us about bioethics today. Recently, she got her graduate degree from University of Mary in bioethics, right?
That's correct.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Lowe.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on because just talking about medicine and ethics today has gotten very, very complicated. Can you explain to us why, as a sports medicine doctor, did you decide to go into bioethics also?
I think there's a lot of different reasons that culminated in that decision, but I've been a physician finishing medical school and my training for about 13 years. And over time, I've just started to really start to reflect more and more about, what is medicine for? What's the purpose of medicine? Why am I a physician? It seems like it's a crazy question to ask 13 years later, but I've just part of it is also because of my faith. I'm a Catholic, and that also played a role in this decision to get the degree in bioethics. More and more, I'm starting to notice ethical questions and becoming more and more prominent in medicine in general, somewhat in the field of sports medicine as well, but really it's the broader field of medicine. Medicine has a medical dimension and an ethical dimension in everything that we do. And so I just started to feel drawn to study it more. I felt like there's a huge gap of knowledge for myself and even those people that I work with and patients. There's just a lot of ethical questions that I wanted to understand, the principles, the foundations, to be able to help me in my own practice, but also in a broader scope of just education and helping both physicians and healthcare professionals and patients start to tackle some of these ethical questions with more awareness of what this meant.
What would you say are some of the biggest questions today in bioethics?
There's really issues across the spectrum. Definitely beginning of life has many, many ethical dimensions, as well as the end of life having some ethical dimensions. But we're starting to see even, in our day-to-day practice as physicians, one of the biggest things that we deal with, whether it's implicitly or explicitly, is informed consent and medical decision making, and is a patient able to have the capacity to make decisions. So there's always questions in medicine about that medical decision making capacity for patients, and so that's probably something we encounter the most. But I think the biggest dilemmas you're going to see really at the spectrums, the beginning of life and end of life, are big areas where there's a lot of ethical questions.
Dr. Lowe, you said that you got into this because of your faith. As part of your faith is ethical decisions. In regards to those bioethical decisions, what, if any, are there any challenges that face maybe an atheist medical professional versus one that practices a religion? And do you find major conflict between the two? And then how do you navigate that, if there are?
I think that even physicians who don't necessarily associate with a particular religious faith or background, like an atheist, there's definitely ethical questions and ethical dimensions. No doubt. The secular field of bioethics has been developing since the 1970s. From a Catholic healthcare perspective, we've been questioning and delving into bioethic issues for centuries, but it's become really specified in the secular field since the 1970s, with some ethical issues that arose over the past century in medicine. And so I think that both a Christian or other religious grounded person, as well as an atheist, would tackle some of the same issues. Our approach might be different in some respects, but I think we'd also have a lot of common ground. We all want to do what is good for the patient. We all want to respect the human dignity of the person that's standing before us as in that relationship, that doctor-patient relationship. We all want to fight for justice. We do not want to harm patients or do anything that's disproportionately harmful for patients. So I think there's a lot of common ground, but there are areas where we might disagree with some secular ethicists because our approach of maybe like what the human person is, what we call like the anthropology, that we would probably have some differences there. Understanding like the role of the physician in healthcare. Is this a kind of covenantal relationship where we both will the good for the other, or should the physician simply respect the full radical autonomy of the patient and just do what the patient wishes? So I think in some of those areas, we may have some conflict and disagreement. But I think you would probably see some disagreement on those issues among secular ethicists as well.
Dr. Low, I'm curious, as an orthopedic and sports medicine doctor, what kind of issues were you seeing that were ethical dilemmas? It just seems like that would be a simple type of medicine to practice where ethics wasn't going to get involved.
I mean, definitely I would say like some of these ethical dilemmas aren't something that I would encounter on a regular basis, but we're not immune to that. For example, there was a patient who absolutely refused amputation of an extremity from one of our surgeons. I'm not myself a surgeon, but the case did present itself to our department where she had an infected limb, and the bone and this ulcer in her skin were infected, and if she's potentially going to lose her life unless they were able to amputate her leg, and she just adamantly refused. It was just a repugnant thing to her, and so it was a definite ethical dilemma of, what do we do when the patient is not wanting what we feel is in her best interest? And so it was definitely an issue that we had to discuss and dialogue about with the ethics team. So that's one example, but I think in orthopedics, a lot of it's going to be medical decision making. Does the patient have capacity to give informed consent? I think that's something we would see often.
Interesting. That is, when you think about that, that is difficult, because if you want to save their life and they're not in a place where they've had time to think about it, get over it. So what do you do in a situation like that? Can they just decide, no, I'm not going to have the amputation?
Absolutely. I mean, we definitely respect, there's something that's called informed refusal. If the patient is able to have the capacity, understands the risks and benefits, understands what she's refusing, we definitely would never forcefully, mutilate a person's body. And so you definitely would respect, as long as you know that patient is able to make that decision. If there is a sense where that patient actually does not have capacity and does not understand what's going on, then you would consult the patient surrogate. So someone the patient has directed to make decisions if they've lost capacity, which does sometimes happen. And so it's a matter of sorting out, is that patient able to give informed consent and informed refusal? And if she is, then you definitely respect that. And sometimes it's a matter of maybe transferring the patient to another facility if you are just completely in disagreement with the chosen course of action. And that sometimes happens where we transfer to another facility for the patient to consult another opinion.
Okay, wow. Yeah, definitely a tough situation. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about bioethics and mention the 2-day seminar coming up in Bismarck area at University of Mary. We're going to talk a little bit too about Simone Biles, and I'd be curious about your perspective on that when we come back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Calling all first responders. Join us Saturday, July 31st for First Responders Night at the Bismarck Event Center. The Bucks take on the Green Bay Blizzard with a 7:10 p.m. Central Time kickoff, and will highlight those who serve and protect our communities. For more information on tickets, visit bismarckbucks.com and download your free general admission ticket today. Saturday, July 31st, it's the Blizzard versus your Bismarck Bucks. See you on the 31st. Go Bucks!
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Hi, welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are once again joined with Dr. Low, who's a sports medicine doctor who recently completed a bioethics master's degree at University of Mary. And we're talking about how bioethics can fit into medicine, particularly in sports medicine. I know you had a question, Andrea.
Yeah, so in my study of ethics, the definitions are so important, and we use the word informed consent a lot, it seems, right now. How did you define informed consent?
So informed consent, or you could also even informed refusal when someone has information and refuses. I'd say there's 4 elements to informed consent. So it kind of encompasses disclosing all relevant information about the diagnosis, the prognosis, what you expect with the diagnosis, and then the different interventions that you propose to the patient. And then the patient must also comprehend what you're providing, the information you're providing. And then the decision the patient makes must be voluntary. And the last one is what we call the patient must have medical decision-making capacity. And medical decision-making capacity is a very, very important term. And it's the idea that the patient is able to receive the information you're presenting, they're able to process it and understand it and apply it to their situation. And they're also able to show you that they can process reasonably and logically what you've just told them about their situation. And then they can defend and articulate their choice. So they may disagree with what you think is best, but they're able to rationally defend it and articulate their reasoning for refusing or consenting to the procedure. And so decision-making capacity is a really, really important element of informed consent. And decision-making capacity is something that a patient can lose at different times in their life. So for example, if someone, maybe they're under anesthesia or under some type of narcotic and they're not able to think logically or reasonably or process things, it may affect their ability to make decisions. Or if they're intoxicated, or a patient with dementia. And there's a variety of other situations where there can be situations that arise where the patient loses this ability to have decision-making capacity. And when that occurs, we recommend the patients have designated someone who is their surrogate, or you may hear the term healthcare proxy, someone who can make those decisions for that patient if they lose that capacity.
So how is that designated? How do you know who someone's healthcare proxy would be?
There's a couple different ways. One way of doing it is that you can designate that person ahead of time, and we do encourage patients to do that, where there's something that's called a power of attorney for healthcare or medical power of attorney, where you designate a person who you want to be that person to make decisions for you when you lose capacity. And so you really want that person to be someone who knows you and understands your values, your preferences, and you've had conversations with them in advance of, if something happens and I lose capacity, here's what I would like as far as my medical care, or here's how I want you to use these particular religious beliefs or other values to help make decisions. So you can designate it officially, formally ahead of time. But if someone does not do that ahead of time, many states will have a law in place that will automatically have what's called a surrogate hierarchy, where someone will be designated for that person. So for example, in Texas, where I live, if a person loses decision-making capacity, then if they have not named someone formally to be that surrogate, then the first person legally would be their spouse. And then there's another hierarchy. The next level would be an adult child. And so the hierarchy kind of goes from there. And so oftentimes states will have a surrogate hierarchy in place legally that will help designate that person.
Okay. Dr. Low, just to kind of piggyback, I guess, on Andrea's question about informed consent is, we're talking about informed consent in adults. What about informed consent in minors? In particular, I think I've read a few articles that becoming more prevalent that as parents start to enroll their children in sports at an earlier age and then to continue to specialize in that sport. I think we all have that hockey family, that football family, that softball family. Do you find overuse injuries more prevalent in children who receive performance pressure from coaches and parents? And then how do you address with overzealous adults that are like, you're fine, you can get out there and play ball, and you're clearly seeing this overuse injury, which from my understanding is repetitive motions day after day, year after year, start to damage, sometimes a developing child's body.
Absolutely. So there is even something that is referred to as like early sports specialization in children. And it's something that in general, the consensus among the sports medicine community is to discourage that. We definitely would encourage patients or parents and children and athletes to have a variety of sports and interests when they're younger. Early specialization is tending to increase risk of injury, increase risk of burnout. We're seeing children who focus on only one sport year-round early in life tend to burn out and stop playing sports in general when they enter early adolescence. And so we don't want that. We definitely want children to exercise for life and be involved in sports long-term. And so we encourage people to have a variety of sports when they're younger. It's okay to maybe enjoy baseball the most, but also throughout the year encourage the athletes to maybe do basketball or soccer and develop some other skills rather than just year-round specialization and focus on that one particular sport, because there is seeming to be an increased trend in injury risk with doing that. And as I said, burnout, psychological pressure, psychological stress by focusing on this one sport year round. So there's definitely a consensus to discourage that early specialization.
Well, speaking of specialization, that brings us to Simone Biles, who has dropped out of the Olympics. A lot of specialization there. Do you have any perspective as a sports medicine doctor on what happened there?
I mean, definitely, I can't speak to her specific situation, not knowing all the details, but definitely in sports, we do know that the psychological and emotional health of athletes is tremendously important in addition to physical health. There's so much that an athlete has to endure physically, psychologically, emotionally, and the more pressure applied to an individual, the worse that psychological stress can be. I know even in my own experience, I was a collegiate softball player and did really well throughout my 4 years of college until the very last month of my collegiate career. And for some reason, just psychologically, I fell apart. I could not hit I was a pitcher, softball pitcher, and I could not hit the strike zone at all. And it was just devastating. I could not help my team. At the time, people were not identifying it properly as a psychological dilemma. And so the coaches were very demeaning and demoralizing, and it just made the situation worse. Now, for someone like Simone, who's in gymnastics, for me, not being able to hit the strike zone wasn't going to harm myself. It was detrimental to my team. But if you can imagine the same thing with Simone, she's doing these high degree of intensity tumbling stunts and passes. If she can't land correctly, the risk of injury is tremendously high. Breaking legs, tearing ligaments, neck injuries, spinal injuries. I mean, you can only imagine if she's not confident, the risk and potential risk for injury is high and something we can't take lightly. And if she's not confident and comfortable, then I think that's something that must be respected. A decision must be respected to protect her own well-being.
Yeah, it could even be life-threatening. Andrea, before the show, we were talking about there was somebody in the Olympics that became a paraplegic, right?
Yeah, she was a gymnast in the 80s, and they pushed her to go.
So, okay, well, I appreciate you being on, and anybody wanting to know more about bioethics, there's a 2-day seminar at University of Mary, August 6th and 7th. You can check that out at umary.edu. And thank you, Dr. Low, for being on today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Regina. The winning team is the Flumin River Excellence.
Oh my God!
They won!
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car! How will we? The car! Your offer's been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing. But how will we? The closing!
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. I really appreciated Dr. Low's perspective on pushing kids too hard and on Simone Biles, because I think a lot of people forget that she's not just being a snowflake. You know, she's been a very, very hardworking athlete to get to the Olympics, that it's probably something pretty serious if you have to drop out.
Oh, absolutely. And that story I started to tell, it was in the 80s, and she had a physical injury, but she under-rotated. And if she under-rotated on her stunt, she hit her chin, she broke her neck, she was a quadriplegic at 20, and she was dead by the age of 46. So as Dr. Lowe pointed out, the danger involved with the skills that she's executing, if she doesn't feel 100%, don't go on the floor. Don't do it.
And she wasn't 100%.
She wasn't.
She did a couple routines and she was messing up, so.
And I'm sorry that Dr. Lowe had experienced such a last month that was probably very disappointing in her whole very good career of softball, but at the same time, I think it's a great experience for her to take from to help children to identify, hey, I've been through this. And
that's true. Good point.
Because I think children need to kind of see by example. And if they have a doctor saying, girl, I know what you're going through, you're not alone.
Good point. And if she had not experienced it, she might not have understood what
making lemonade out of lemons.
Absolutely.
Well, let's move on to our next topic, because we so easily get carried away sometimes when we're talking about things. I want to talk about what's going on with the colleges and COVID mandates. We're going to talk more and expand it into the next segment, but right now let's just talk about the college students, because in 38 states there are mandates with, it might be the public institutions and it might be the private. There's sometimes a difference in how they handle it, but a lot of students are being told if you do not get the vaccine, you may not register for classes. What do you think of that?
I'm ready to homeschool through college. That's what I think of that.
Yeah.
Sign them up for remote school. Forget all this. I don't need it.
That is not a sign of a free and republic country that we are telling students that they are not allowed to their pursuit of happiness because of a vaccine. My body, my choice. What happened to that?
Will deny you your education, and maybe they already have 2 or 3 years into that particular college, so they feel like, well, I got to get back in. This is my only way in. Some of the things that especially bother me is Dr. Maloney. He was one of the pioneers in the technology of the mRNA technology that made the COVID vaccination, and he is saying the risk benefit is not worth it for young adults and for children, that they should not be getting the vaccination. And despite that, the colleges are just going full speed ahead. Why are they not giving students the choice? I don't understand.
No, I would be finding a different school. I would be finding a different route. I would be choosing a different career. I would not put up with that. There's no way.
Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA they put together a package. They call it the No Forced Vax campaign at Turning Point USA. That might be something to look into if you are in that situation, because they're trying to help students know what their rights are, helping them to speak up, because if the students said, no, we're not going to do this, then I think the universities would have to back down. Or I would find another school. I would not let them force me to be vaccinated.
You would think there's a market, because I'm probably not the only one who wouldn't do it.
I have two different thoughts on this. One thought, and my friend and I always say, okay, put on your tinfoil hat, because we're going to have a chat about this, is, there's a lot of indoctrination in the current school systems, especially higher education. Mm-hmm. The indoctrination of liberal views. I think it's been proven, on guests that we've had before, that religious classes are being taught by atheists and things like that, and of the such, and this is what you need to believe. And I think we have all been experienced in that college student coming home, and it feels like there may be a little bit of a parrot just kind of repeating what their professor has said, but you just kind of wonder if that's somehow using the vaccine to further divide the us versus them. The us that decides to get the vaccine is allowed to come here and get this indoctrinating education, and the them has to find something else. But I found an article, and Andrea, we talked about this earlier behind the scenes, I guess, is on Kaplan Online. You think, why do they have the right to tell students that they have to get a vaccine? And I found this on Kaplan Online that says, since education is not specifically mentioned as a right or a power of the federal government, Congress does not have the authority to directly regulate education. According to the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, powers that are not explicitly given to the federal government are reserved to the state and the people. And I said, you know, that could be something that they could use to say, we have the right to say you have to get a vaccine. And Andrea, you had brought up a couple good points on other things that seem ridiculous.
It all seems ridiculous. Well, so if it's a private school can do what they want. I'm not going to hold a private school to do what I want. I'll send my kids to a different private school. But if it's a public school, they're designed to provide education to everyone, to citizens. And obviously you have to pay tuition and all of that, but it's subsidized by the government. So we're paying to keep that college open and to send students to that college to get an education. So if we're saying this college is really only for people who are aligned with us, or only for people who believe the same as us and are willing to go along with what we say, well, that's not college for everyone. That's not public education. So no, I don't think that they should be able to keep students out, especially because I think that in elementary, at least, or in K-12, that we have a right to refuse vaccines. We can say, we can use religious exemption. There's 3 or 4 in the state of North Dakota that you can object to the vaccines for philosophical reasons, religious exemption, et cetera, or physical reason, like a doctor's note, that kind of thing. I think that we should all be able to do that. I don't think that we should be able to force anyone to go against what they believe or what they think, or to put themselves in any kind of physical danger because of any reason. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. Right. So I think we should all be allowed exemptions, including in college, including in the workforce.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, when it comes to state and community colleges that receive funds, I believe, if the state is not mandating every person in the population to get a vaccine, well, then how can that community college or that state college require it?
No idea. I don't think they can.
It's
it's
literally
state by state. If you there's a list of 38 states that are in some way mandating it. They're not mandating it here in North Dakota, but they are doing other things. I know I saw the president of Dickinson State saying, well, they'll have to wear masks, or you know, they have to have this rigorous testing. But the problem is, for a lot of these universities, they're just going to be barred. You can't come in if you don't get the vaccine. So they're being hindered from fully participating in, you know, activities, education, and they are a low-risk population.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody knows they're low risk. And like Dr. Maloney, who helped develop the vaccination, the technology that made it, he is saying, wait a minute, there's this risks involved. Young people are getting reactions from the vaccine it's a lower risk if they actually get COVID. So let people make their own decisions. But to bar them from fully participating in society and not being able to get an education, that is not right.
Seems like an equal rights question. Yeah. Why is it, you know, it's good for us but not for you? You know, we have so many people shouting about equal rights and being treated equal, and gosh, that seems kind of hypocritical, which I'm not surprised.
Yeah, a lot of things going on that seem hypocritical, but we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna talk about what's going on across the United States, not just at the universities, but across our regular society. When we come back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. And I don't know why I chose these topics for Friday, but we're just going to plow ahead here because I feel that we're at a crucial turning point in our country when you can mandate COVID vaccinations and say if you don't get them, then we can allow discrimination, where you can lose your job, where you cannot fully participate in society. You know, Facebook, Google, they're joining, other organizations, Stanford, saying you will lose your job if you don't get the vaccination.
They can jump in a lake. That's what I think of that.
Well, it'll be a clean lake because they've all been vaccinated. So
no.
Today's my quote day show. I have lots of quotes today, but you know, our fearless leader of this wonderful country that we do live in, and half of that statement is sarcastic, is that the Epoch Times quoted Biden as saying, "We have a pandemic because the unvaccinated, and they're sowing enormous confusion. And there's only one thing we know for sure. If those other 100 million got vaccinated, we'd be in a very different world. So get vaccinated. If you haven't, you're not nearly as smart as I said you were." First, I would like to say thank you to President Biden for saying that I was smart. And I will continue to be smart.
No, not according to him.
Well, that's okay.
You're not as smart as he thought you were.
I'm so sad. But it's saying here
is that bullying? It seems a little bit
That
bullyish.
is bullying.
Yes, extreme
What if
bullying.
you said that
from
to your
the
kids?
top.
What child rearing manual do they say? Well, I guess you're not as smart as I thought you were. Is that how you get your kids to do things?
Pretty sure that's how every young adult troubling book starts.
Maybe that's what happened to Hunter Biden.
Yes.
I guess maybe that's what he...
That's why he chose to leave his
Bullying
life of
tactics,
Ukrainian
yeah.
oil and go to painting.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, you know what? Let's look and see. What I appreciate is there are healthcare workers who already had the vaccine that are protesting, saying, wait a minute, this isn't right that you get to bully my coworkers.
Yeah.
We need them. I don't want them to quit or get fired. So let's look at a couple of the protests.
Yeah, many of these folks are healthcare workers themselves. Some have even gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. Out of the several hundred people here, they just say that they want it to be a choice, not a mandate.
Freedom, not force! Freedom, not force!
Heroes to zeros. Essential workers to expendable.
That's how many of these healthcare workers feel right now after this new order from Cone Health. All employees must get the COVID-19 vaccine.
And now this is the thanks that we get. It's infuriating.
One healthcare worker here asked not to be shown out of fear of getting fired, but she faces the same fate if she does not get the COVID-19 vaccine, and she says that should not be the case.
I'm an intelligent healthcare worker. I have enough experience and I have been informed and I do not consent.
I stand for freedom, not force. Stop the mandate.
This worker has gotten the vaccine, but she says she's protesting for her co-workers, their jobs, and all of their patients.
We're already short. So if they fire people, if people quit, if people retire early, how are the hospitals going to function?
How are they going to function?
How are they? And this is happening all across the country. That was North Carolina in just a bit. Well, I'd like to take a look at another one we have in Arizona, where I just came from in Michigan. Henry Ford Hospital, they had lots of people protesting because they're telling their employees, you get this vaccination. And it's not like a vaccination that we've had before because, locally we've had to had flu vaccinations, a lot of times the healthcare workers. But this is experimental and people should be able to decide their own risks,
It's not fully FDA approved.
No, it isn't.
It's being used under the emergency use authorization. So the FDA hasn't even said that this is fully safe. And there's, a couple variants in the vaccine that have been not authorized in proteins in this vaccine that have been tried to be used unsuccessfully in other vaccines. The FDA has turned down because they are unsuccessful, but they're throwing it into this one and forcing people to get it. How is that? That is, our civil liberties are getting trampled beyond trampled.
If you have the right to informed consent, you have the right to refuse. And they're not allowing that.
Basically, they're saying we're taking your rights, everybody.
Right, or we're going to shame you.
We're going to take your job.
Right.
We're going to take the means by which you feed your family.
Right, but like with Biden, mandating the vaccine for federal workers, and then a lot of companies are going across and saying, my husband was one of them that says, I have been informed and I do not wish to get the vaccine. And, they're making people mandatory mask wearing, whether you've had it or not, weekly testing, social distancing. So then they're creating a hostile work environment.
Yeah.
Because if your bosses are pitting two people, it just feels like it's going to crumble everything. The infrastructure that they so love to talk about building up, they're building a castle on a cloud. It's going to fall.
And if the vaccination works, then why do you care?
Yeah.
Why can't you let other people make their decision? Let's go to this clip from Arizona, some more protests. I just, want to give you a sample.
Let's throw them in the lake, too.
About 250 people turned out at the Capitol to vent their anger at healthcare companies now threatening to fire their workers unless they're fully vaccinated.
It's about freedom of choice.
Trinity Peltier is one of those health workers who attended the rally and has not been vaccinated.
Is an experimental vaccine. It has not been on the market for very long. And with it not being on the market, there is a reason. It was not FDA approved.
Part of the reason I wanted to show these protests is because I think if you're in that situation, be one of the protesters.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Don't say, well, what are we going to do?
Or if you're not in that situation, you don't have to work in healthcare to support those people and support their right to make a decision. Make a sign.
Yeah.
Let's go protest.
As a community, we need to come together for our friends. I have 4 different friends that have said, as soon as Sanford mandates, I'm going to lose my job because there is no way I'm going to be forced to put something into my body when I know what it is, I know how it's used, and I'm declining it. That's not right. These people gave they could have given their literal lives during the last couple years to go out and help people with COVID when we didn't know what it was doing.
Yeah.
And it's mean and it's bullying because this is not easy. People refusing the vaccination at work, they're being pressured. Nobody likes to be pressured, but they've made this decision. They've thought about it, they know the information, and they have made this decision. In some cases, I listened to one person, a young healthcare worker, a nurse, was a man who said, you know what, I'm just not sure. I might get it later, but I still want to have more kids. I want to just be sure that this isn't going to affect child-rearing possibilities. And so they're trying to make the right decisions. They're not being careless about it.
Right.
But for their employers to say, oh no, you're going to make the decision we want you to. This is about your body. You don't get another body.
Right. And they can't make a decision and then have the consequence be another decision that you wouldn't agree with. So for example, if they're going to mandate the vaccines, but if you don't get the vaccine, you then have to wear a mask, well, that's also something I should have the right to choose. I'm sorry, like there's health implications to wearing a mask day in and day out. So we know that there's harmful effects of wearing a mask. We know there's potentially harmful effects of the vaccine. You can have a choice to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. You should have the choice to wear or not wear a mask, and it shouldn't cost you your job for something that you're likely to survive, unlikely to spread if you're not sick. How do you, if you're not sick, give it to someone else? You don't. That's not a thing.
You know, and part of me does understand the establishment's stance on this because they are wanting to be a safe place for patients to come to, high-risk patients to come to. You know, and if they are put in a room with somebody that hasn't been vaccinated that maybe is carrying something. I get that. I get it. However, there should be, you know, it's not an all or nothing. It's not a black and white. I was talking to a friend that is a nurse, and she said medical issues are becoming too black and white, and they're not seeing the people. And it's just, it's not right. You know, if there's high-risk floors, well, if they're wearing a mask, then if masks work, shouldn't that protect people?
Yeah. And it's experimental, it's irreversible, and when are they going to start talking about people that already had COVID? Like, why don't we get included in this conversation? But anyway, we're going to let this go for now because we've talked enough about COVID. I'm sure we will again at some point in the future. But we're going to move into the lighter side right after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Calling all first responders. Join us Saturday, July 31st for First Responders Night at the Bismarck Event Center. The Bucks take on the Green Bay Blizzard with a 7:10 p.m. Central Time kickoff, and will highlight those who serve and protect our communities. For more information on tickets, visit bismarckbucks.com and download your free general admission ticket today. Saturday, July 31st, it's the Blizzard versus your Bismarck Bucks. See you on the 31st. Go Bucks!
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature Heroes, with the region's only Hero meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Could you do us a favor? Beck TV is a finalist for Best Local TV Station in the Bismarck Tribune's Best of the Best. Vote now through August 9th by text or online. Vote for your leader in local, Beck TV.
Hi, welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm back, and it's time for the lighter side. I need the lighter side. How about you guys?
It's Friday.
Yes.
Let's
feeling
bring
light?
it.
Let's decompress on this Friday.
Okay, although I said, are you feeling light? We're going to talk about something heavy, bowling balls.
Oh,
those
Heavy topic here.
Heavy topic.
There's a guy called the Bowling Ball Guy. You can go to Facebook, and 6,000 other people have done it, and they've liked his page, the Bowling Ball Guy, because he found something unusual under his house. Let's take a look.
Into his back door. As he pounded away, he found some mysterious round objects buried in the sand beneath his home in Norton Shores, Michigan. What the heck were they?
At first, I couldn't tell. I kind of was dusting the sand away, and I noticed a sphere.
On closer examination, he saw an engraved logo. It said Brunswick and names like Black Beauty and Starline. The mysterious objects were, in fact, bowling balls. The more he dug, the more he unearthed.
I felt like a paleontologist with my little brush because they were all suspended in so tightly that I couldn't get one out without actually dusting all the sand off of it.
Turns out the bowling balls came from the world-famous Brunswick manufacturing plant, which was right here in Muskegon, Michigan. The plant closed 15 years ago. The balls were used as foundation for Dave's house. They've been buried there for 60 years. The bowling balls are pretty beat up, but this homeowner still considers this his lucky strike.
I feel very proud to have this American history in my backyard.
I didn't know Brunswick bowling balls were world famous and in Michigan, because I'm from Michigan. I had no idea that's where they made them.
We found some strange things under houses, but never bowling balls.
Bowling balls. I want to show you just a couple pictures, and then we can talk about it some more, because he made this fun Facebook page, and people are giving him ideas of what he can do with his bowling balls. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
That's adorable.
I have a neighbor that would so put one of those in her yard.
Yeah.
It's
They
just
are really
cute.
cool. If you put them on the grass, it's going to kill the grass. And look at this. Somebody makes mosaics with bowling balls. Who knew
Oh, no, that's
that
wonderful.
you could decorate bowling balls?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like the garden spheres,
Isn't it?
right? You
Yeah.
just set it like in the middle of a bird bath or something, and that would be really pretty.
Yeah. Just glue little stones around it. And so now you know.
Homeschool art and crafts.
Oh, that's a great. No, my mother-in-law asked me to do that. She's a big bowler, and her sister was too. And her sister unfortunately passed away about 4 years ago. And she has her bowling balls, and she'd asked me to do something with them. So I'm loving this segment because they meant something special. That was a sport that they shared a love of, and she wanted to do something special in her garden, and I love it.
There you go. You learn something every day.
Get the kids involved.
And who knows, maybe some of our viewers will be decorating their bowling balls. Back in the day, bowling was a big deal. Bowling leagues. I mean, some people still belong to bowling leagues. But Detroit was also the bowling capital of the world. You had more bowling alleys per capita. When I grew up, there were 4 bowling alleys within a 2-mile radius.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
What do we have the most of? Isn't
Parks.
it
banks?
Parks.
I want to say
maybe
it's,
banks. I don't know.
I want to say it's golf courses and churches. We should check. I bet you.
Yeah.
No, when I first
It's not
moved,
bowling alleys. I know that.
when I first moved here from Alaska, I joined a bowling team just to be able to make some friends. Never bowled a day in my life, and it was fun.
Bowling is fun.
Yeah, maybe not when I'm falling on my face because I realized they grease the floor, but you know, most of it was fun.
We used to do in junior high, we'd go bowling, and I don't know, my hands were wet or slippery once, and I put it back, and the bowling ball flew backwards.
Ooh.
You could hurt somebody that way.
Yes.
We take our kids bowling right around December, so we see, look at that. So we would go in December, we would take the kids bowling for homeschooling. That's what we did for the whole month of December was bowling.
Yeah, yeah, I used to do that too when we homeschooled. We would have that. It was fun for the kids. It's always fun. Like if you can't think of something to do with a big age range, go bowling.
Oh, yeah.
And a
Good
little
choice.
voice in our ear confirmed that you are correct, Andrea, that we are known for our golf courses here. We have, more golf courses per capita than other cities and states in the country.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, bowling for birthday parties. That's a way to get kids to get their energy out and listen to music and have food.
And as smoky as it is right now, it's a good activity. It's indoors and AC, so.
Yeah, back in the day when I grew up, there was smoke in the bowling alleys, but now it's on the outside. You can't smoke
Driving
inside
us
anymore.
inside this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, that is too bad about the smoke, but I suppose it would be hotter without it.
I wonder, back to the bowling ball guy, I wonder who and what that thought process was.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Stuart, I need some filler. We'll bring some truck of bowling balls over. Or
we've got some extra bowling balls. Let's stick them under the house. Yeah.
Were they maybe rejected bowling balls that they needed? I don't know. Recycling?
Yeah, why would you do that? And are you, I don't know, are you the type of person that buries things that you want to find later? Or I know
no, usually I'm, so people wouldn't want to find it later. If I'm going to bury something.
Well, I think he was having a structural problem with his house. It was kind of slanting. Can you imagine? How much do you
why
think?
would you pick a round thing to put under it?
Okay, the producers who are listening and can give us this answer, how much does 160 bowling balls weigh? Let's say they're averaging
10 pounds?
10 pounds. Well, we should
easy.
be able to do the math.
1,600.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight in bowling balls.
It is. It's a lot of bowling balls.
Well, I guess in architecture, this circle is the strongest shape with supporting weight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Still don't think I'd put round things under a building.
If you make a fancy bowling ball, send us a picture and we'll put it on air. But until then, until next time, we have coming up right after us, Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp, who doesn't usually agree with us, but I think you need to listen to both sides, right? So next time, join us again with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. I tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. 15 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I back MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota.
I really like the fact that it was made in the USA. I think that USA products are a better quality product. I've tried a lot of other pillows and nothing's worked like MyPillow.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98. Or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
I used to think that sheets were just sheets. I got the Giza Dream sheets. They are the most comfortable sheets I've ever had.
The Go Anywhere pillow is so easy to just roll up and take anywhere I want to go.
The Go Anywhere pillow is really comfortable, so that's what I really like. It's nice and supportive and it's nice and small.
The MyPillow topper, for the first time, has enabled me to have a cool night's sleep. I'm able to go to bed and just get rest.
That's 3 inches of wonderful that's in the MyPillow mattress topper. It's just like a firm cloud.
MyPillow helps me get a good night's sleep so I can do my job in the morning.
Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but so much more. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98. Or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.